I would like a large pepperoni pizza with onions and bacon. No, that should do it. Thank you for your service. Thank You for Your Service stars Miles Teller as an Iraq veteran who has since returned back to home, and he and a bunch of his army buddies are struggling to figure out how to live in the modern world after experiencing such trauma. PTSD. We've seen lots of movies about PTSD and things of the like, but I don't think we've ever really seen a movie like this. The way that they dived into the world and the minds of these soldiers felt new to me, felt unique, felt personable. And I liked that, and I like the way that they did this. So let's get into that. People category. The first thing you want to look at is the acting, and when you have a movie that talks about PTSD, you really do need acting to be pretty good. You want it to be believable, because these are actors, these aren't war heroes that have actually had PTSD, so they need to make it believable. And I was actually blown away with a lot of the acting. It was all pretty darn believable. 2 out of 2. When it comes down to the characters, likewise, I can't really say I'll remember the movie for the characters, but at the same time, I liked the characters. I was rooting for them. It's definitely a character-centric movie, I will say 2 out of 2. Truthfully, anybody could have really been cast in the roles. They did great. I'm not sure if anybody else could have played the parts just as great, so I only give that 1. I think everybody played an important part here. It is based on a true story, so there isn't really a plot, but each person not only contributes their own strengths when it comes down to the war, but they all have different ways of coping, and they are all dealing with PTSD in a different way, and it's affecting them all differently. And because of that, I have to say importance gets 2 out of 2. You feel like these soldiers, or these ex-soldiers, or whatever you want to call them, they all work really well together. They look like they've been friends forever. They call each other brothers, which you believe completely. Them and their family, you believe that they are an actual family. They are going through these family problems. It's all really believable. Chemistry gets 2 out of 2. Writing score. Not much of a dialogue-heavy movie, I wouldn't say. It's pretty typical there. I'll only give that 1. When it comes down to the balance, you have to understand it's a true story, and in real life, there isn't really much of a balance to life. It goes up and down because life is that. It's a roller coaster, and the movie is a roller coaster of emotions, but there isn't any real direction other than trying to find help for the problems they are having. I'll only give it 1. It is a good story. It's an important and deep story when it comes down to telling the world and exposing the harsh realities of PTSD and what that means for people. 2 out of 2 for story. As I've said before, I think it is a very unique look on PTSD, and I like what they did here. So for that, 2 out of 2. Tell you what, I wasn't really interested in seeing the movie. I don't think any of the advertisements or the posters or anything like that really got me intrigued in watching the movie before I actually saw it. And when I actually saw it, that's what actually interested me. I was hooked once I started watching. I just had to get there. So interesting only gets 1. BTS, behind the scenes. Pretty much what you expect for visuals when it comes down to war movies. You got the memories of the war, you got basic hallucinations with the soldiers and everything, but nothing really stands out as spectacular or different or new. 1 out of 2. Nothing about the directing really stands out. Then again, this is a directorial debut, and when you're looking at it that way, you gotta say, oh, he did pretty good. But at the same time, I think anybody could have really done it. So, 1. I did like the editing. It had a lot to do with making you believe that these characters are having PTSD, and the way they did that, they dealt with it in a way that, to them, it's very real, and because of that, it was simple, but simple enough that it works. Editing gets 2 out of 2. It was as advertised. I don't think there's anything here that warrants false advertising, so perfect 2 out of 2. Nothing about music or sound really stuck with me. Sometimes you get that with war movies, sometimes you don't. I'm just going to give it half point and say 1. Narrative arc score. Pretty good narrative arc. all around. The introduction gets you acquainted with all these war buddies and hints and clues, but not everything of what went on in their experiences in the war. That gets 2 out of 2. The inciting incident is really, honestly, when they actually get home from the war, when they start having these episodes of PTSD. That gets 2 out of 2. Obstacles is just really the continuing problems that just seem to escalate for all of these different war heroes. Lots of obstacles to overcome in this movie, 2 out of 2. Climax, it did have a finality, 2 out of 2 for that. Falling action, calmed down a little bit, sort of returned to a new norm, but you know how it is with 2 stories. You got the text on the screen that tells how their lives end up. I don't really consider that a full falling action, but it's at least partially what you would expect, so 1 out of 2. Entertainment score. How entertained was I? I was decently entertained. It's not something that blew me away, but I was decently entertained. So when you're looking at rewatchability, would I rewatch it again? Probably. Watch it on TV, but not in a way that I would go actively looking for it. 1 out of 2. And while you're talking about something that is really emotionally charged and difficult for a lot of people, so I wouldn't necessarily call it fun, but I was engaged in watching it. So I'll say 2 out of 2 for that. Impulse to buy, I can't really say I really want to buy it or own it, so I'm going to say 0 for that. Impulse to talk, again, other than this review, I don't really care to talk to anybody about it, so 0 for that. Like I was saying with being engaged in the story, it really did suck me in while I was watching, so 2 out of 2 for that. Specialty is a true story, so I once again looked into it. A lot of it is very, very true. 10 out of 10. As a war movie, I don't think this is what you would really call a war movie. 90% of it, U.S. turf. It's about war, and war is the foundation of the movie, but it's not a war movie, per se. It's a PTSD movie, which is connected, just not in the same way. For that, I'll give it half points and say 5. Definitely dramatic movie, lots of emotion, 10 out of 10. PTSD was done in a very interesting, unique light, one that I haven't really seen before, 10 out of 10. Was it halfway decent? I think so. I think they did a really good job. Then I'll have to give halfway decent 10 out of 10 possible stars. If we add up all those points, we get 82 out of 100 possible stars. 82%. And guys, tell me what you thought of Thank You for Your Service in the comments down below. And you know you can always follow me on Track.tv and Twitter at the username IAMDWG. And as always, on YouTube, you know you can subscribe to me, hit that like button, and hit that bell to be notified when I come out with my next movie review, which will be The Beyond, which will actually be my first 2018 movie that I'm reviewing. It's direct to DVD, direct to digital and all that, so we'll see how that one turns out. So stick around for that, and peace out. Have a good day.